evening, everybody, and welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I'm Shelley Pruitt, and my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts. Hi, gentlemen.
Hey,
Evening.
sorry, you caught me off guard in the trailer with the Buffalo Bill dog.
I know. I did that on purpose. When Shelly said that we have a story of a dog, I was like, yes. And then she sent me that, and I was like, even better, yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, where I thought, I'm like, I've got to send that to Blake. I've got to send him that to put in the trailer. We have some
Killed me.
very strange animal stories tonight. Normally, we do our stories about people or about events and things like that.
Mhm.
And tonight, I just wanted to give you a kind of my 4 favorite strange animal stories I've
Ooh.
recently found. Some of them are your household pets and may make you look twice at them after this. So,
So
guys, anything else? Go ahead.
is this fall more under the true crime paranormal or just the strange and freaking weird?
Strange and freaking weird, definitely.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely,
Love it.
with a twist of the odd and the absurd. So we'll have to see how all this plays out. And by the way, just in case my voice goes, Blake does have a script. So
I do.
I lost.
So we're not talking about the Buffalo Bill poodle?
Not yet, but that is the first story we're going to go to.
Put the lotion in the basket.
So yeah, last week, immediately after the show, I lost my voice. So as long as it doesn't sound like I'm gargling glass, I'm
Nah.
going to continue with it. If not, Blake will take over reading. So,
I
all
think
right,
you're
you
gonna
guys,
be
you
fine.
ready to go?
Absolutely.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Fantastic. So we're going to be talking about some deadly animals tonight. So whenever you hear the words deadly animals, the words conjure image of like lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my.
Oh my.
I even put in the
Yes.
script, wait for it, because Ryan will say it. Right there is where it says it. And attest it.
You know
It
me
says
so
wait
well.
for it on it. But perhaps deadly animals lurk inside your own home. Ever wondered if your cat was spying on you? Or if your dog was
Mhm.
planning your demise?
Mhm.
Don't be fooled by their soft fur or their wagging tails. It might just all be an illusion. So here are a few tales of things with tails that might make you view your animal friends as just a little less friendly.
Okay,
So our
so
first story tonight, go ahead.
before you jump into it, though, yes, I have thought my dog would plan my demise. Mainly, I would trip, fall over her, and choke on a spoonful of frosting. But that's a whole another story.
I mean, you can see the evil in Gabby's eyes as she stares at you, so I know.
Absolutely.
That little Pomeranian's fine. You leave her alone. She's a sweet little bundle of joy.
From hell.
So our first story tonight is about Kachi, the dog. And so on Thursday, October 24th, words are very hard for me this evening. Let's try again. Thursday, October 21st, 1988. It was a beautiful day in Buenos Aires, and the Montoya family resided on the 13th floor of an apartment building that overlooked a bustling street below. The open balcony door allowed a cool breeze to breathe through the apartment. And in the backyard, and I mean in the background, cartoons could be heard on the television and the dull drone of a ceiling fan as it slowly spun. Now, in the living area, the Montoya's youngest son was playing with the family pet, a poodle named Kachi. Go get it, Kachi, the little boy squealed as he tossed the ball. Kachi ran for the ball and dutifully returned it to the boy so the game could continue. And with each retrieval, the boy and the dog grew more and more excited. The laughter of the boy and the barking of the dog filled the home. Do you want the ball? Do you want the ball, Kachi? The child giggled and held the ball out, bouncing it so Kachi could get a good look. Kachi's eyes were locked on the tennis ball. That ball. That squeaky round thing that could launch at any moment from the small human's hands. Yes, he wanted the ball. And Kachi was so focused on the ball that his head moved up and down with each bounce. And as the bouncing stopped, the little human lifted his hand over his head, and Kachi braced in anticipation. He was ready, and he was ready to catch his prey. Go get it, Kachi! The little boy launched the ball, and Kachi jumped for the ball, but he missed it, and it sailed over his head. His little toenails scratched on the tile floor as the poodle's little legs tried to gain traction to pursue. But the ball bounced too far. It went across the room and out onto the balcony, with Kachi in pursuit.
Uh-oh.
The ball slipped between the rusty railing and fell down to the street below. Kachi's nails scratched across the red ceramic tile in vain, trying to stop. Poodle to the railing, and with a loud crack and a sharp whimper, Kachi plummeted off the balcony.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And as Kachi fell, the little boy let out an anguished cry. A small, delicate lady, 75-year-old Senora Maria Espina, had stopped on the street below. She was dressed for the day, and she was out shopping and was wearing her favorite red-brimmed hat to keep the sun off her face. She was admiring a beautiful red carpet that was displayed in the store window. Her eyesight had been failing her, but she was able to enjoy the vivid colors that were woven into the fabric. Her moment of admiration was broken when she heard a sharp, distant yelp and a scream, and she turned her gaze above.
Oh
She was
no.
Oh
standing
God.
in exactly the wrong place at precisely the wrong moment. A heavy thump and a sickening moan caused pedestrians to stop and jerk their heads in reaction to the noise. The falling animal had landed on the elderly woman, killing them both instantly.
Oh my god.
Oh my
And as
God.
the horrific scene unfolded, a crowd quickly gathered, and Kachi had claimed his first victim.
First.
First.
What the fuck?
What
What the
the
fuck's he
fuck?
doing? What kind of Looney Tunes ass way is that to die too? Just
It's
Jesus.
not funny.
It's
not
like a
funny.
Roadrunner cartoon.
Oh
You just hear-
man, this
Yeah.
poor lady.
Now, 46, yeah, exactly. That was uncalled for, sorry. So 46-year-old Edith Sola had been standing on Rivadavia Avenue just
Mhm.
across the street, and she had heard the wailing of the child on the 13th balcony.
Mm-hmm.
She saw the gathered crowd below and heard their panicked voices. Being curious, she decided to find out what everyone was gawking at, and she darted into the street. Now, a bus driver was making good time moving down Rivadavia Avenue. He was on schedule and on time, and he only had a few seconds to react as a woman stepped out in front of the bus. He slammed the brake all the way to the floor, and as the tires screeched, the driver held tight onto the steering wheel. The bus jolted to a stop, but not in time. A sickening thud and the crack of bone was heard as Edith Sola was knocked into the air sideways and slammed onto the hot pavement where she lay motionless. She was Kachi's second victim. But the ripple effect of the bouncing ball was not yet over. Out of a pharmacy in time to witness the falling poodle slam into the elderly woman. He had seen them die. He had also seen the bus careen into the lady who had ran into the street. He had seen her die. He had witnessed the entire grim spectacle. It was an incredible nightmare, but he was wide awake. And he began to pant and sweat, and his feet felt rooted to the ground. In his ears, a cacophony of screams and sirens rang. He felt dizzy and had a sharp pain in his chest. And as he fell to the ground, witnesses realized that he was having a heart attack. He was immediately placed in an ambulance, but by the time he reached the hospital, he was already deceased. Kachi's death count was now 3.
Damn.
The headline from Reuters the next day read, 3 dead after dog falls 13 floors.
Jesus.
Now, the story of Kachi the killer poodle falling from the 13th floor left a legacy of chaos that has evolved into a legend in Buenos Aires. It's a tale synonymous with bad luck and freak misfortune. So, what can be learned from this story? Don't play ball on the balcony. Keep your eye on the sky. Be careful crossing the street. Maybe the real lesson here is that your chances of being killed by a poodle are low, but never 0.
I'm sorry, this last picture of the Buffalo Bill poodle. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I am not laughing at the fact that somebody died. That is a horrific way to go.
Yes, but it's a funny way to go.
But
I mean,
damn.
Jesus
Hachi
Christ.
the killer poodle.
I mean, God, I mean, the worst chain reaction possible. It was like,
What are the chances? I mean,
like a deadly Rube Goldberg machine.
I mean, if somebody would have written this into a screenplay, you would never believe it. This actually happened. Was reported in newspapers of Kachi the killer poodle. So technically, the death count was actually 4 if you count Kachi.
Kachi himself, yeah.
So yeah,
Kachi's so
Jesus
cute.
Christ.
Look how cute Kachi
Kachi's
is.
so cute.
Oh my
I know.
God.
So cute. Oh my
Kachi,
God. Like
Kachi needed to learn how to pull up. Maybe you should have been not quite so focused on that damn ball.
Jesus Christ.
Thoughts
okay,
on Kachi
yeah,
the killer poodle?
I would definitely classify this under the strange and fucking weird. Like,
Yeah.
what that is like. What are the chances? Number one, number two, the Final Destination type shit that plays out in that, like.
You couldn't write a worse scenario for everyone involved. I mean, Jesus.
No, I agree.
This comment says someone down there should have just Kachi'd him.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Chad.
Maybe he should have just Kachi'd the ball.
I mean, like, I feel bad for the poodle, but I feel like really bad for the lady. That's just like she hears a yelp and like looks up and bam, there's a poodle in your and you die.
What about the kid that threw the ball? Like, he's got blood on his hands now too. He's got a fucking poodle death and 3 other people.
I think that this all has to do with him. They should investigate.
Yes, let's blame the child.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. The child obviously did not realize the ball would bounce off the balcony.
Yeah.
And that Kachi would go sailing. I'm sorry.
Were we ready to move on to our second story tonight?
No, all I had.
They only get stranger from here.
All that I had played through my head was sail away, sail away. I'm sorry, poor Kachi. Rest in peace. R.I.P. Oh my God. Yes, continue with your second story before I come up with another stupid.
Okay.
Kachi
I'm going to save
saying.
you from yourself. Okay. Well, our second story is entitled Operation Squeaky Bomb.
Squeaky. Okay.
Okay, we're going to go into a little spycraft for this one.
Okay.
So, after France had fallen in the summer of 1940, Prime Minister Winston Churchill promised to set Europe ablaze. He founded the SOE, Special Operations Executive. It was a highly secretive agency that was kept a secret from Parliament. It was a British spy network operating under the cover name Inter-Services Research Bureau. And its mission was, I'm going to quote here, to aid and encourage all resistance to the enemy in occupied territories. Now, the agency developed an assortment of highly experimental weapons and gadgets designed to give the Allies an edge. So picture the scene. A nondescript office in London, in the heart of World War II Britain. Maps strewn across tables, telephones ringing, and people moving in and out with fervor and urgency. This was Section 15 of the SOE, and it was led by Charles Fraser Smith. And it's now 1941, and the Nazi forces occupy most of the British Allied territories, and the SOE needed to find a way to sabotage the enemy installations. They had already developed something that was called a timing pencil. They were thin plastic explosives with a timer that could extend anywhere from 10 minutes to 24 hours, but they were notoriously inaccurate. Agents were just as likely to blow off their own hand as they were to take out a piece of train track, and they deemed they had needed a better plan. So imagine, in one corner sits an intelligence officer. He isn't the stereotypical cloak and dagger type of spy, but rather he's a thinker, a planner. But his eyes, in his eyes, it's obvious that he's lost in a labyrinthian complexity of war strategy. Then a sound catches his ear. Looking down, he spots a rat darting across the floor. What a nuisance, he thought, a disgusting creature of filth and spreader of disease.
Oh, no.
And in this moment of distraction, the wheels in his mind begin to turn. The rat, scurrying about, hiding in the nooks and crannies, was almost undetectable. And then an idea began to form.
God.
A simple but devilishly clever idea. The rat, the unnoticed infiltrator in human society, could be a perfect delivery system. Take one rat, stuff it full of explosives, and leave it in a German factory near a furnace. And when the shoveler finds the rat in the coal pile, his rat hating instinct would kick in and he'd toss the vermin into the furnace, and boom.
Oh my God. You can't fault him though.
No.
I mean, this is pretty ingenious. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow.
because the coal shoveler would most likely not survive the explosion, he wouldn't be able to warn anyone, and thus wreaking havoc on Nazi occupied France. So the officer took his idea to Charles Fraser Smith, and development began on one of the most exotic devices in the SOE's arsenal, the explosive rat. So step one, get the rats. And they weren't scooped up from London's back alleys, and they weren't part of some clandestine rat breeding program designed to create a battalion of army combat rodents. The SOE purchased the rats, already dead, from a supplier. Apparently, there were dead rat vendors. I mean, who knew? And 100 rodents were purchased by an SOE officer passing himself off as a student, needing them for lab experiments. Step two, prepare the rats. Now, once they were procured, the rats were brought into the lab and turned over to the taxidermists, who did the gruesome work. And with delicate artistry, they removed the internal organs from the rats and left the outer hide intact, complete with tails, legs, eyes, and whiskers. Now, step three, arm the rats. The brave and unfortunate individuals assigned to this task faced a twofold challenge. Stuffing a rat with explosives was a very delicate operation.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweat pouring as you delicately.
You don't
Yeah.
say.
They needed a steady hand, a precise knowledge of anatomy, and ice water in their veins, because they had to carefully place a very finicky and unreliable pencil timer explosive device into the body of the rodent, carefully packing it to ensure the device would be stable. So that's the diagram. That's how they did it. They would gut the rat, put in the pencil timer, and then they'd stuff it full of like sawdust or something like that. And now the rat was essentially a weapon. So
Right.
after they'd packed the rat, it had to be carefully stitched back together because the final product had to look like an average everyday rat, indistinguishable from the non-explosive counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
And once completed, these rats were ready to begin their posthumous career as instruments of chaos. And the mission was named Operation Squeaky Bomb.
I'm sorry, your descriptions right now are killing me, Shelly.
This is why it takes me so long to rewrite stuff.
Their posthumous career as instruments of chaos. That is beautiful.
Thank you. I take great pride in my writing.
So in other words, what you're saying is they just
Right.
shove something up the rat's ass.
That's what I was thinking, because
No, they gutted it.
Oh, well, yeah,
right,
they
because
gutted it first.
looking at the diagram, I was like, either they're going in one end or the other. I didn't know how they were going in, but it looked like it was going up ass. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was put in there and packed with
Right.
sawdust to keep it stable, and
right,
then sewn back up.
right.
And then, of course, we come to step 4. Infiltrate enemy lines and let the rodents raise hell. The rodent version of Mission Impossible was put into play. The explosive rats were ready for deployment. Each was a small, furry time bomb designed to wreak havoc. The intention was to covertly place these unusual ordnances in locations where they would likely end up in a furnace or a coal pile. And it was hoped that the Nazis would toss them into the fire, resulting in an unexpected and sizable explosion, killing themselves and destroying their factories. Now, in espionage, the line between success and failure often hinges on the unpredictable, uncontrollable, and sometimes unlucky circumstances. A case of the exploding rodents was shipped to the Allied forces. but the shipment never arrived.
Uh-oh.
It was intercepted by the German army before it ever reached the resistance. Now, even though Operation Squeaky Bomb failed to achieve its primary objective, it succeeded beyond expectation in a secondary and unforeseen way. When the odd cargo was inspected, the Germans realized that these weren't ordinary dead rats.
Mm-hmm.
They were bombs. Baffled and alarmed, they launched an investigation to discover if there were any more potential rats in their ranks. And they were left in a state of paranoia, convinced that every skittering rat in the shadows could be a ticking time bomb, and every dark corner a potential staging ground for an explosive anarchy. The time and resources diverted to the comical and frantic rodent witch hunt were significant, and the fear factor was incalculable.
Yeah,
Incalculable.
Incalculable. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
That's an unforeseen side effect that I didn't think. Yeah.
Now, in November of 2017, an incredibly rare, intact rat bomb was listed for auction by Bonham's Auction House.
Oh my God.
The device belonged to British agent Jack Dickens, who went by the spy name, Maurice Ladan. He was dropped behind enemy lines to carry out acts of sabotage. The device was found in his possession. There's the up close of it. You want to know how it works? There it is.
That is the worst taxidermied rat I've ever seen. And
Well,
it's not suspicious. It's not
almost 100
suspicious.
years old.
With the pipe sticking out of its butthole, it's not suspicious at all.
Well, when it was made, it had fur. The fur has since deteriorated and come off of it.
Yeah,
so yeah,
right.
but you wanted to know how it was? You're right. They stuck the fuse out the rat's ass. So the device was found in his possession in 1942, and it ended up in storage at a French police station. And it's not known who intercepted the man or the device. Now, the exploding rat was sold on December the 6th of 2017 for $1,775. And yes, it had been deactivated.
What the hell?
I was going to say.
So the plot, somebody paid that much for a dead rat. Rock on. The plot, even though it had technically failed, created a paranoia that infiltrated the German ranks, causing disruption without a single rat fulfilling its explosive destiny. The rat panic, as it could be called, was an unexpected and humorous twist in the audacious wartime plot. The idea, born from the unlikely marriage of rodent curiosity and human ingenuity. And in this case, the lack of an explosion created a much bigger bang. And the truth is truly stranger than spy fiction.
That's hilarious.
This has to be, I don't know. Probably it's weird because it's like one of the most ingenious things to come up with.
It really is.
Very smart,
but it's
yes.
Also so fucking strange.
It's out there, but
I mean, seriously, whenever you see a dead rat, you avoid it. So they could put these bombs anywhere. Who's going to be messing with a dead rat? And if it's in a coal pile and they're, coal, and there were some trains in Germany that were still, through France and Germany, that were still, coal operated steam engines. The diesel engines had just begun to transfer over, but depending on where in the country it was, not all of them had transferred yet. So if they could throw it onto a coal pile in a train, they could blow out an engine on a train.
Right.
So it actually was very ingenious. And if it's in a coal pile, of course, whoever's shoveling the coal is going to just chunk the rat in there. You can't have dead vermin laying around.
Right.
It's brilliant.
I mean, I'm not knocking the ingenuity of it. I mean, it is. I don't think I'd ever look at a rat and be like, it would look good with that rat sticking out of its asshole.
Yeah.
So here's one of the best parts of this, and I didn't put this in, that the SOE actually had a catalog that they would give to their spies. And the spies could order items out of this catalog and have them created. And one of them was this exploding rat. Now, the reason why that's so rare is because they only made 100 of them. Because after it was intercepted, they figured they wouldn't be able to use it anymore. That, the jig was up and that they had, they'd been kind of found out. So they needed to develop different spycraft. But I was like, you could have made hundreds of them. But actually, it kind of did its job without ever exploding and blowing up anything.
I mean, the psychological warfare aspect of it is just,
That's exactly
with
right.
them catching it, yeah.
Now, I will tell you that some of them were actually put into German military schools so they could be studied. And so they could, but this was British intelligence officers that came up with this. So, yeah, they
gotta love our cousins across the pond.
Gotta love them. I mean,
pretty ingenious when it comes to their wartime rat killing.
And there were a lot of stuff. I'm sitting here going, okay, that's pretty funny. But yeah, I had fun writing that one.
God, I mean, it makes it all the way back to Germany. So now the Germans are afraid everywhere they go that there's going to be all these rats.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
They have rats. Yeah, they have these exploding rats.
The bigger question that one of the comments wants to know is this where we get blow it out your ass?
God almighty.
I did not see any reference to that, but who knows? Let's go with yes.
Sure.
Let's go with
yes. Jesus Christ.
Oh, Shelly, you kill me with some of these damn stories. These are fucking hilarious.
I'm here to entertain.
These are great.
So are we ready to move on to our third story, which also deals with spycraft? I kind of get on this animal spycraft thing. So I only have 2 of them that have this. So here's our second one, and we're going to move on to another form of spycraft. And story 3 is called Spy Cats, Operation Acoustic Kitty.
They didn't shove anything up their butts, did they?
We'll have to wait and find out.
Some headphones.
So, as we've seen, being a spy is stressful. And it's not as glamorous as James Bond would have you believe. And much of the work is very mundane. It's data sifting. But when it's not, priceless things are lost. State secrets, expensive gadgets, and human lives. And the stakes are sky high for spies. It's not a job that most people would want. Now, by 1960, the Cold War was raging full blast. The United States and the Soviet Union faced off with each other over Berlin and Cuba. Nuclear weapons were armed and targeted, and the fate of the world hung in the balance. The Americans were desperate to learn what the Soviets were planning, but their ability to gather information inside the USSR was hampered by a very closed police state society. Informants and surveillance were everywhere, and to be caught spying would most likely result in death. So in 1961, the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, thought that they had found a solution. Technicians at the agency's Office of Technical Service had been able to produce a small, concealable radio device that could be used to pick up clandestine conversations and radio them back to a listening post where they could be recorded. The CIA operatives, i.e. the spies, began secretly planting their electronic bugs into as many Soviet offices as they could gain access to. And these bugs were essentially hidden microphones placed on people or their surroundings. And while they were a crucial piece of spyware, the receivers just weren't very good. They couldn't filter out irrelevant noise. And often the target's conversations were lost among the clanging of silverware or squeaking of furniture or even the playing of music. Now, the KGB figured out pretty quickly what was going on, and diplomats and intelligence officers soon took to holding their secret conversations outdoors, away from the bugged offices. Now, this presented the Americans with the difficult task of getting their bugs close enough to their targets without being noticed. Now, around the same time, the CIA was monitoring a target in Asia, and they noticed that stray cats would wander unimpeded into high security areas and even into top secret meetings. And no one seemed to pay any attention to them. And that gave the CIA an idea. What if, stay with me now, what if they put a microphone into something as innocuous as a cat and used its cochlea as a natural noise filter? The cat seemed like the perfect mobile bug. They were quiet, they were unobtrusive, and commonly seen everywhere. No one would ever suspect that a stray cat sitting on the sidewalk was secretly monitoring their conversations. Welcome to Operation Acoustic Kitty.
Big fucking names.
That was the name.
Squeaky Bomb, Acoustic Kitty.
Here's the problem. No one had ever attempted anything like this before. But with Cold War paranoia and nuclear fears running high, the CIA was very interested in anything that could give them a chance to peek behind the Iron Curtain. And honestly, Project Acoustic Kitty was so outlandish that no one would ever see it coming. So in 1962, the techs and case officers at the Office of Technological Service came up with a plan. They would implant a microphone and a tiny transmitter into the cat's ear canal and train it to follow audio cues towards a target. Then it would lounge about and listen to sensitive conversations before wandering back to his handlers, loaded with secrets. Together, the Office of Technological Services and the Office of Research and Development put their researchers and techs to work. The bug itself would take serious tinkering. It needed a microphone, a battery, a transmitter, and an antenna. And everything would have to be hidden either on or inside the cat to avoid discovery and tampering by humans or the cat itself.
Jesus.
That cat has antenna.
I'm sorry. Jesus, Ryan. Perfect timing, buddy.
There you go.
Just in there in a high profile meeting. Do it again, Ryan. Do it.
That cat has antenna.
Damn. Oh, Jesus.
Stop talking.
Yeah, stop talking. So the techs came up with a surgically implanted audio system. It would be a 1-inch long transmitter at the base of the cat's skull, a microphone in its ear canal, small batteries inside its rib cage, and a fine antenna wire woven into the cat's fur that ran the length of the spine and all the way to the tip of the tail. So yeah, cat has antenna, that tail goes up. You're exactly right. That's what I got whenever.
Excuse me, why is your cat beeping? I don't understand.
Now, every element would actually develop packaging that could survive temperature, fluids, chemistry, and the humidity of the body. And researchers tested each component on dummies and then on live cats, recording their reaction to the foreign materials. And when the testing was completed, the CIA had essentially constructed a real-life Frankenkitty. Now,
Poor kitty.
I know, poor kitty cat. Now that they had developed a bionic cat, the next obstacle was to overcome the issue of getting the cat to obey commands. Now, none of the officers on this project must have ever owned a cat. Because any cat owner is going to tell you that the words trained cat is kind of an oxymoron. Because cats notoriously do as they please, and it's lucky if their whims coincide with your needs. But nonetheless, the training program proceeded. Researchers put the cats through daily programs that tested the cat's attention spans and physical endurance. And with each positive response, the complexity and skill level of the environment was increased. They would guide the cats by playing audio cues in their ears, one tone for left, another for right. And in a lab setting, the scientists proved that they could indeed guide the cats short distances to the intended targets. Unfortunately, the cats didn't fare so well on longer and more complex tasks. Like disgruntled employees, they had a tendency to just walk off the job when they got hungry or bored, ignoring all instructions and pleadings from their handlers.
Like, son of a bitch, I almost had the nuclear codes. Why did you walk away, Mr. Biggles?
Mr. Biggles. Where are you going, Mr. Biggles? Come back.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God. If y'all could just read some of the damn comments that we're getting through
I
this
can't
whole
wait to go back and
Right.
read them.
It's like, things that look good on paper, sure. But in practice, not so much.
Yeah, the cat's like, screw you, I'm done.
Yeah.
Where's the
And
litter
a
box?
maze, I'm in a closed environment. Out in the world, like a squirrel could run by, or he could be hungry, go off and wander off, get something to drink,
Just say
Well,
it's a bunch of comments that I don't feel comfortable responding
Okay,
to
that's
and have
fine.
me blushing.
Well, so to correct this, the techs implanted another wire in the cats to override their sense of hunger, because they found that was usually whenever they would get distracted. And the arduous testing process continued. And finally, after 5 years of tinkering, testing, and training, the moment of truth arrived in 1966. There was one cat that had responded exceptionally well to the training. And this cat was a rock star, passing every task and test that it had been challenged to complete. This would be the cat that would take part in the Operation Acoustic Kitty's first field test. And the mission would be easy, low stakes. The first step towards the CIA's ultimate goal of releasing a bugged cat into the Soviet embassy. But for now, all the cat would have to do was saunter up to 2 civilians sitting on a park bench and sit patiently while the agents listened in. Easy. So a couple of agents loaded a van filled with monitoring equipment. They drove their high-tech cat in the direction of the old Soviet embassy on 16th Street. And they parked just a few blocks from the embassy on Lafayette Square, just across the street from the park. And they went through the cat's final preparations. They did a final check on the receiver and the microphone, giving the cat a few encouraging pats on the head as they went. Now, exactly what happens next is unclear. But according to an ex-agent, Vince Marchetti, this is how the events unfolded. And I'm going to quote him. Finally, they're ready. They took it out to the park and pointed it at a park bench and said, "Listen to these 2 guys." Parked on one side of the street, the agents carefully lowered the very expensive cat out of the van. The cat stopped. It took in its surroundings, unbothered, in the imperious way that cats do. It noticed the bustling street, the soft grass in the park, and the open sky. And it begins to hear that soft beeping. The audio cues were directing it forward and across the street to its unwitting targets. Then, before it can take more than a few steps, a taxi peeled down the street and ran the cat over.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh God. Oh Jesus. I knew it. When they said they set him down in the street, I was like, this is not going to end well.
Oh my God. Mr. Pickles.
No.
What happened?
And there they were.
He met his...
The horrified agent sitting in a van with all this fancy equipment and a dead cat. But not just any dead cat. A cat that was wired with classified CIA technology that had cost between $10 and $20 million and over 5 years of research to produce.
Oh my
Now,
God.
this was not the report that the agents wanted to bring back to headquarters. How would they explain that for all of the careful planning that they had failed to realize that maybe they should have parked the van on the same side of the street instead of putting the multi-million-dollar cat at risk by making it cross a busy street to get to the intended target?
Oh, Jesus.
What
now,
idiots.
the only thing you have to do is walk across Times Square to get
Yeah,
Jesus
exactly
Christ.
right. Hey, here's a ball for you. We're on the 13th floor. Go catch it.
Now,
Jesus.
even if the cat wouldn't have been run over, it was doubtful that it would have survived for any extended period of time with batteries and wires in its belly.
Yeah.
The fact that the CIA could pick up audio from the cat at all was a medical success. But the implementation of the project was an operational disaster. An interview with the former director of the Office of Technical Services, Robert Wallace, offers a happier ending for the project, Acoustic Kitty. He stated that when the project was abandoned due to the impossibility of training cats, the equipment was removed and the cat lived a long and happy life. Sure it did.
I'm sorry, hold on, wait, before you continue. We just had a comment came through and said, see, American genius versus British genius. Touche on that. Y'all make rat bombs. We make $20 million kitties that get ran over.
That we run over. Yeah.
This place sounded like an RC car getting hit when it got smacked by the taxi.
I'm sorry, y'all are killing me with this story. This story is way too good. These comments are way too good too.
So, but because the operation hasn't been, yeah. But because the operation hasn't been fully declassified yet, it still isn't declassified. It's impossible to know what really happened that day in DC. The only declassified document mentioning the project by name is a heavily redacted final evaluation from 1967 entitled Views on Trained Cats, redacted, for redacted use. And it says, what you can read of it, we have satisfied ourselves that cats can indeed be trained to move short distances. However, the researchers deemed that it would be not practical to continue. Project Acoustic Kitty was closed after 5 years and over $15 million.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, perhaps the final evaluation should have said, just spitballing here. We learned years ago that cats cannot do and do not want to be trained. Please don't waste any more money or time proving what we already know, that dogs have masters and cats have staff.
Right.
That's so damn true.
Yeah, cats trained themselves. They were like, these idiots will feed us, so we'll hang out and let them scratch us a few times. They're not going to.
That's just my opinion right there at the end. Please don't spend any more money. Cats don't want to be trained. They don't.
No.
Cats.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Jesus Christ.
That was. I wasn't even thinking about whenever you're like, they lowered him down. Like I was just like, oh, he's gonna go over there and listen to these two people on the park bench. Nope.
Splat.
$20 million down the damn drain right there.
You really probably should have ended with that one, because our next one, it's interesting, but it's not quite as humorous.
I'm going to say that's got to be the last one you just told. That's going to be my favorite one tonight so far.
Yeah, that one's good.
That one
is it?
Yes,
pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked all of these, and so that's why I'm telling you them. So shall we move on to story 4?
And the amount of
any more comment on the Acoustic Kitty?
I was going to say the amount of
Frank and Kitty's money by name.
the amount of kitty comments that we got. Yeah, you'll have fun reading through those.
Oh, I love it. That would be kind of cool to have a speaker down there and just make your own music as you walk.
I can't do a Russian accent, but that woman has antenna.
woman has antenna. Put ear to Kitty, hear Mariah Carey.
Oh God, not Mariah Carey.
Okay, sorry.
Oh my God.
Oh Jesus. Oh,
any more discussion on that one further, or shall we move on?
No, we can go. We can move on.
Please move forward. Please move forward.
Okay. So story number 4 tonight is entitled Sweet Kiss of Death.
Oh God.
Okay.
Now, in the weird and wonderful history of horse racing, Frank Hayes holds a very unique place. Frank, as a stable boy, had always aspired to be a professional jockey. He hung around the racetrack since his arrival in America from Ireland in 1916. And he was given the opportunity to work for steeplechase trainer and owner James K. Frayling. And he quickly accepted. The young man had found his place. He rose early and dutifully cared for the horses in his charge. He hoped that one day he would get his chance in the saddle to ride in a race. And he paid attention to the horses, what they liked and how they reacted. But there was one that he favored just a little more than the others. And her name was Sweet Kiss. She was a 7-year-old unremarkable mare that wasn't well thought of, even by her owners. But to Frank, there was just something special about her. And in June of 1923, Sweet Kiss had been entered into a 2-mile, 12-jump race at Belmont Park. She had 20-to-1 odds and wasn't expected to do anything extraordinary. And just a day before the race, her jockey pulled out of the race, refusing to ride her. So with no rider, Sweet Kiss would be scratched. Frank Hayes saw his opportunity, and he went to James Frayling and offered to ride Sweet Kiss in the race because he believed the horse could win. Well, Frayling considered, and then he agreed to give Frank a shot if he could lose 12 pounds in time to compete. You see, Frank weighed 142 pounds, well above the acceptable riding weight for a jockey. He had to weigh 130 pounds or less in order to ride. So Hayes scrambled to lose weight as quickly as he could. Some reports say he had a day and a half, and some say he only had 24 hours to get down to the 130-pound maximum allowed weight to compete.
How's that even possible?
Simply cutting carbs wasn't going to suffice. Yeah, simply cutting carbs wasn't going to suffice. Cutting off an appendage would have been a way quicker and easier method. But Frank wasn't going to be denied. He wasn't going to be denied this opportunity, his dream. And he embarked on his own extreme weight loss plan. He strenuously exercised, denied himself water as he sweat profusely. He even starved himself in the last hours before the race. And when he weighed in as an official jockey, Frank's recorded weight was 130 pounds on the nose.
Damn.
Incredibly, he had done it. And on June 4th of 1923, Frank, wearing blue and yellow silks, was boosted into Sweet Kiss's saddle, and the pair trotted out to the steeplechase course in the track's infield. Ahead of them were 12 fences over slick ground, still wet from the previous day's rain. Sweet Kiss lined up with 4 other horses, including the odds-on favorite horse named Gimme. And this was their moment. The flag dropped and the 5 were off, and Gimme immediately took the lead. Frank kept Sweet Kiss a length off the favorite, clearing each fence, waiting for the opportunity to get into the front. But Gimme held the lead, sometimes 2 to 3 lengths ahead of Sweet Kiss. And for 4 intense minutes, the crowd was on the edge of their seat. Hayes and Sweet Kiss, horse and rider, worked as a team. Each jumped smooth, and each motion was controlled, and it was deliberate. They were gaining on the favorite. And entering the home turn, Frank saw his opportunity to put Sweet Kiss in the lead as they approached the final fence. Frank pushed the horse and suddenly shifted in the saddle. And the sudden movement caused Sweet Kiss to nearly collide with Gimme. And the 2 horses straightened themselves up and jumped the final fence. The crowd was on its feet, cheering in a frenzied excitement that electrified the field. Both horses ran with a ferocity and determination, and they dug in as they approached the wire, and the 2 horses were neck and neck. And in an instant, Sweet Kiss pulled away and crossed the finish line first. She won by a length and a half. And the crowd went crazy, cheering and congratulations, and in awe of seeing the long shot listed at 20-1 get the win. And Frank Hayes slumped in the saddle. 100 yards beyond the wire, the rider slipped motionless from the saddle and fell onto the ground. The horse, Sweet Kiss, turned back to check on the fallen man. She put her face to his neck and nuzzled Frank's still form as men quickly ran out to his aid. The Belmont physician, Dr. John Voorhees, rushed to the field. James Frayling also fought his way through the crowd that had now fallen silent. When Frayling approached his jockey, his friend, Dr. Voorhees delivered the anguishing news. Frank Hayes had suffered a heart attack, and the doctor pronounced him dead there on the dirt track.
Damn.
The official cause of death was ruled a heart attack, brought on by a combination of adrenaline from the race and the damage done to his heart by his rigorous training effort to slim down. It's believed that Frank died coming into the home turn, and it's thought that his heart gave out when he slumped in the saddle, causing Sweet Kiss to swerve as she cleared her last jump. But over 100 years later, the exact moment he died is still uncertain. 1 week later, Frank Hayes was buried in his winning blue and yellow silks and his riding boots. Frayling collected the winning purse of $1,775 for the horse's win. But as for Sweet Kiss, she never raced again. Not because she couldn't, but because no jockey would ride her. The jockeys now feared that the horse was cursed and dared not tempt fate lest they suffer the same outcome as Frank Hayes. And she earned the nickname Sweet Kiss of Death. So, did Frank and Sweet Kiss actually win the race? Can a corpse claim victory? The rule book only states that a jockey must remain in the saddle until after crossing the finish line. His win is valid and it stands. And Frank Hayes has the dubious distinction of being the only person to win a race posthumously. And his win is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the only jockey to ever ride to victory after his own death.
Whoa.
I mean, has anybody ever tried to, like, I don't know, go up against that record? I mean,
I don't think
it's just gonna stand. He's the only one, you know, unless we put grandma, unless she's like on hospice or something to make the final lap.
Did they prop him up on the podium at the end with the trophy? Just
oh my god!
No, they weren't that disrespectful. No,
Ryan.
No,
Ryan would have obviously.
Ryan would have
been funny.
Jesus.
Ryan would been like, get a picture. It's because Ryan's a horrible person.
I don't know.
So, gentlemen, what did you think of my stories this evening, or what do you think of the one of the Sweet Kiss of Death? I found that one fascinating, and
interesting.
I probably went through. I found about 16 different articles on it. That one was probably, the way I wrote it, I tried to, make it a little more concise. I talked about his mother and how he had worked in a silverware factory. And I just didn't think that was pertinent to the story. I just wanted to tell the story of the race because, you talk about you die doing what you love.
Right.
Okay. Exactly. But that's so, he got his, he got his dream.
That's true.
Or did he? He got to run a race as a jockey, which is what he always wanted to do.
That's what he wanted, yeah.
I'm going to steal one of the comments by Mr. Chad. He said the horse was a killer, nay, cursed.
Boo.
Boo. Boo, Chad, boo.
Boo. I'm sorry, the dad joke. The dad jokes and all the comments are killing me.
That was funny. Never mind. That was good.
No,
Chad.
this one is this one's a little bit more somber than the last three. I should
have ended with the spy cat, but well, that was just kind of. I wanted to just keep the spy craft together.
Yeah, I mean this one was it was interesting.
It's an inspirational story.
How is it inspirational? He died on the back of a horse.
He did, but don't ever let anything stop you from doing what you love.
Not even death.
Not even death.
Find that silver lining, even in death. That's right. I looked to see. I tried to find what happened to Sweet Kiss because I'm hoping they didn't send her to the glue factory. It wasn't her fault the dude croaked.
No.
But I couldn't find exactly what happened to her. I couldn't. I knew she wasn't ridden again. That something was very clear. She was never ridden again another race.
Listen, don't try to lose 12 pounds in 24 hours or a day and a half. That is not the healthy way to do it. You will die on a horse's back.
Yes, we do not support that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean,
I was going to say something dirty.
It's the worst crash diet ever, dude. Fucking just.
I was going to say you'll die riding something if you try.
Oh,
Well,
my goodness.
I'm just saying. I will say tonight, my absolute favorite one was Spy Kitty.
mine too.
That was
Yeah, that one was fun.
I'm sorry. I know that the cat died, but I mean, come on. I just
Right.
see this, sit it down on the street and like $20 million down the drain. This one more or less kind of gives me a little bit more of the chills, I guess, if you will. If you're thinking about like a horse crossing the finish line with a dead person in the saddle, like that's
Yeah.
But the exploding rats and the Spy Kitty, that's some strange and fucked up stories.
Yeah, those were fun.
Those were pretty good.
I almost did all Spycraft because there was one with donkeys there, and I almost pulled that one. Maybe another time.
With donkeys? Mm-hmm. What the hell they do with donkeys?
Tune in later to find out. I don't know. I'll tell you later.
She might do another one later on.
I might do another one later on the animals of espionage, which there's quite a few different animals that got to have their turn, including fish and dolphins and pigeons, which we know about, and a few other animals that you
but the dolphins are like super smart. Like that doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. Dolphins are said to be one of the most intelligent
killer whales.
I mean, until you see the camera strapped to the dolphin's head when he rolls up, I mean, you're gonna fucking know he's coming. He's a fucking spy.
Well, gentlemen, go ahead.
No, I said, but yeah, I mean, I think the kitty cat was a whole lot of fun. I don't know, like the CIA does some really weird stuff, and when you kind of dig into some of the stuff that they do, you're just like, who thought about this? We paid for this. This is fucking crazy. So any CIA story is always a lot of fun.
I like that we had a little bit of a break from the true crime, the paranormal, and talk more about the strange. The strange was what more tonight's topic was, and I loved it. I love these kind of stories when we kind of do these multi setups. I don't know, because you don't. We talk about all the topics that are big and well known and vastly covered, and I always love hearing about these more smaller, lesser known things that happened in history or
I had actually heard the story of Kachi the dog before. I had heard actually about Project Acoustic Kitty. I had never heard of the exploding rat one. And when I was reading that, I'm going, really? You can tell I had a lot of fun writing the exploding rat one because just everything about it, and I found a lot of articles on it, and it was just a step-by-step procedural on how they did it. And so I'm like, well, that's how I'm going to write the story. Step 1, step 2, step 3, that's more, So yeah, I had a lot of fun writing the exploding rat one, and I had a lot of fun writing the Sweet Kiss of Death one. Project Acoustic Kitty, it just kind of wrote itself.
And these names for these Squeaky Bomb and Acoustic Kitty.
So, gentlemen, any further thoughts on tonight's stories? So, your favorite was Project Acoustic Kitty. Anything else? Final thoughts?
No, but I never thought that I'd have to read one particular word in the comments so much tonight, referring to a kitty. That's been fun.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah, just wait till you see some of these.
Any final thoughts, Ryan?
No, I mean these were a lot of fun, and I always love when we finding like weird and strange stories to kind of break up some, because we do some dark shit, and it's fun to get some fun stuff in there every now and again.
It's fun to laugh every now and then. So yeah, this was a nice little needed break.
All right, and with that, Blake, why don't you tell them everything what they need to know? And my voice held out,
Yay! Awesome. All right, sweet. Well, seasons 1 through 3 of After Dark with EVP are streaming now on Paraflix Paranormal Plus, with season 4 starting filming soon and should be dropping sometime in the spring. So you can watch Paraflix on Amazon Fire, Roku TV, Apple TV, iOS, and Google Play. You audio listeners, you can find that sign up link in your show notes, but everybody can go to our Facebook and X profiles on Wednesday morning. Click the Linktree link for easy access to Paraflix, and do not forget to use our code AFTERDARK25 for 25% off your annual subscription. If you want to support the show directly, you can check out our Patreon page, which is also linked in our link tree. It is just $5 a month, and you will instantly unlock over 400. I think it's over 450 now. Patreon exclusive videos, including the pre and post broadcast shows, which are the 30 minutes before and the 30 minutes after this live broadcast, or each and every live broadcast. And it also includes never before seen investigation footage, dirty SS methods, and plus your support from that helps us keeping these laughable deadly animal stories coming to you week after week. But if you're not sure about joining Patreon, you can try it risk-free with our 7-day free trial. So make sure you're staying connected with us as well. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and many more by searching Everything Vaguely Paranormal, looking for that green sound wave, or by clicking the icons in our link tree. We are still trying to get to that goal on YouTube, so if everyone could go over and click subscribe button on that, we would greatly appreciate it if you have not done that. But remember, audio listeners, you can catch us live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to meet us in person, we still don't know why you would want to. However, if you do, you do have a few choices. We have one coming up, which is the Missouri Paracon, February 28th through March the 1st in Kansas City at the Ameristar Casino and Hotel. We will also be at the Paranormal Rockdown at Broadhead Manor in Broadhead, Wisconsin on July 18th through the 19th. Then we will be off to Gettysburg Battlefield Bash from July 25th through the 27th in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And finally, we will be attending the Rock Island Roadhouse Esoteric Expo on October 4th in Rock Island, Illinois. I cannot wait to get back to that one and all of these as well, because we're going to have such a fun-filled year. We do have a couple more we're waiting for confirmation on, but we will let you know what those dates are as soon as we know. But make sure you subscribe to our Eventbrite page as well, so you'll be notified when public investigation tickets go on still, because we are about to start putting those up. We are grateful for your continued support. Every like, comment, share, and download keeps adventures alive. So if you have a favorite episode, share it with your friends and make sure you tag us. And if you have a comment, story, or question for us, those can be, or if you want us to be a guest on your show, that can be sent to us at the evppod@gmail.com. It's THEEVPPOD@gmail.com.
Go like, share, and subscribe to that YouTube page. So we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight on Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I'm Shelley Pruitt, my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.